welcome to segment 8. This is the final segment of the video series where I summarize what has been done to the gown, and there are several photographs that are included, and the final photograph is of the bride on her wedding day, and we were given permission to use this as part of our video series so that you can see the result. So I hope you enjoyed this video series, and I hope it was informative. If you are interested in learning how to become a dressmaker, a couturier, or a tailor, please do visit our website, EcoleHoltCouture.com. There's all kinds of information, and this is occasionally updated, and today is July 29th, 2020, so we're right in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. So I'm saying that because that may affect some of the information on how to apply to our programs in the future. Now, this is the recording of the project in photographs, so I'm going to take you through the progression of the photographs, and this is a review of the entire series that we've just shown you. But I wanted you to see what the wedding dress looked like on the bride when she first got it. It had been delivered and she tried it on, and although she loves the style of the dress, the front turned out to be just a little bit too revealing for her comfort zone. So this is before, and she tried this on at home, and you can see how the back is gaping over her back. So and you can see the waistline, how it rises in this area here. So what we needed to do is we needed to remove all of this excess fabric, and we were going to lower the bodice, or basically shorten the skirt to make it fit. This next photograph you can see is a one that we took after the fitting. Now, this lace had been inserted and pinned in after during the fitting, and what has been done here has been put on a piece of paper and pin pricked through the profile so that we could have something to refer back to. And here's just another close-up. You can see that a lot of this lace, this extra lace, will not be used, but that I didn't want to cut it during the fitting. And here you can see it laid out on the paper, and we've pin pricked through and just made note of it. And here are some photos that I took of the garment inside before we began the whole process. And you can see this is the inside of the bodice, and what I'm impressed with, again, I've said this before, is just how cleanly and how precisely the lining has been inserted into this gown. And in my experience, over 15 years of altering wedding gowns, it is a rare beast. And here you can see on the inside there is, at the waist, this elasticated waistband. So that really holds the gown into the waist, although it's not particularly a bodice and skirt type gown. And you'll see that they've even done a very nice job of creating these loops for the waistband to go through. And here on the elastic there is some boning to keep the elastic from collapsing. And then again, another shot of that. And here in the front you can see that there has been this nude color netting inserted into the deep plunge. And what that does, that holds everything in place at a distance apart. So this is where we're going to add the extra lace. And there's a close-up of that. And here you can see in the back of the dress where the zipper comes up to the top of the bodice, you can see that little belt inside where it sits in relationship to the waist. And you see there's a hook here at the top of the zipper, and that is to hold the zipper from sliding down when you're wearing it. And another view of the the zipper when it's opened, and all of these buttons and the loops and so forth. And here is a photograph of the lace, and it's an overall shot, but it is here, you can kind of see a shadow of it, is the waist seam, and where the lace has been overlaid to make it appear as though it is all one piece of lace. Now this is the front, the bodice, and next to the plunge you can see here there's some thread, and that's marked to where the end of the lace needs to be when it's added. And one overall shot of the gown before we do anything, and another shot of the waistline and the overlay of the lace. Now here you can see, if you will, this entire pattern has been overlaid at this point in the waist. Now here, this pattern is actually a composite pattern. This is lace from the bodice, this is lace from the skirt, but they've matched it up really well. This is a shot of the back of the train of the gown, and you can see the pattern that they've actually matched it up really well. And this is the seam, this is the top, and it's running out to the end, and you see one safety pin there. That's one pickup point for the bustle. This is the inside, or the layer next to the lace, so it's directly under the lace, and you can see that it is quite nice and lush. But here is the edge of the hem turned back, and in this edge there is a stiffener, and it is a horsehair stiffener. It's not real horsehair. These days they use polyester, but it serves the same purpose. Now here is a shot of the hem on the innermost lining. Now what you see here is the seam with the finished edge of the serged edge. Now this you don't see when you're wearing the dress. It's hidden in between the layers, but as you can see, it's serged at the cut edge, which is a quick manufacturing method. It's quite effective. However, we don't use serged edges in couture. We finished that in another way. This is a picture of the inside of the gown at the bodice. This is the strap and another strap here, and you see that quite often on heavy gowns when it's hanging on a hanger under the strap here. This loop should be exactly the same length, and that is to support the weight of this gown. Now that because it's lace, it's particularly heavy. And here you can see that the straps, the hanger straps, match up with the straps completely, and that's the way it ought to be. I just have taken this so that you can see how nicely finished it is on the inside, which is a very good sign. And here at the, let's just see if we can kind of get it out a little bit. All right. At the hem, you can see that it all lines up beautifully. Sorry about that. Okay. At the front, the lining and the other layer matches up perfectly. It's not uneven. Okay. Now here is a close-up of the front, the inside front of the gown, or I should say the back. This is the back and the hem, and you'll see this impression of the tape that's showing through. That is the horsehair stiffener. Again, another shot of the gown. This is from the back now, where you can see where the belting is in place to hold the waist in place. It doesn't matter so much when the gown is on, but what it does, it gives it support when you're putting the dress on and zipping up the zipper. It doesn't stress out the zipper, so that's really important. And here you can see the hemline of the innermost lining, and then there's the underlay, which is a double layer, and the lace. Here is a close-up of that, where you can see that the stiffener is inserted into the underlay, and then there's a layer of tulle, and then there's the layer of lace. So there's quite a few layers. And here is a close-up of that belting with the nice loops and the hook strap in the waist. Here are 2 thread marks, and that is where or actually how much and where the skirt needs to be lifted. So we need to lift the skirt, the waistline, that much into this waist seam to make it fit, to stop all of that gaping or wrinkling up. And here again you see there are the tailor's tacks that have been made to post fitting, and another shot of the gown before it has been worked on. And here you can see there are safety pins inserted. These are the pickup points for the bustling as we had tried it. Now these are not written in stone, and they might well change position, but it's a good reminder of what we were talking about during the fitting. And here is a photograph of the back of the at the top of the zipper before any alterations have been made. So you can see that the zipper closes right at the top here, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons and so forth. And but basically it's to have a record of how the lace fits over the waist seam. And this is a picture of the front at the waist seam here. You can see the deep plunge and the lace right where it meets in the front, and here is the waistline. We are going to change this with the alteration. This area seems a little bit bare, and so we're going to add more lace to this because we have it, to densify that lace to give it a more finished appearance. And here's another dress or picture of the front of the dress. And the edge of the lace, you can see this is at the bottom hemline. It has not just been cut off and let hang. They have actually finished it, which is a good thing because it gives it a little bit more body, and there has been attention paid to detail. Now here is the lace as it's been unpicked, where we're starting to take the dress apart to get access to everything. Here is the back of the bodice with the zipper, 1/2 of it removed. So this is now with the zipper removed, and here's the zipper, and right here is the hook strip, the elasticated hook strip. And this is a photograph of how I keep my time. I just list when I start, when I end, the time that it took, and what I have done. And although it's not very sophisticated, it has worked well for me all of my career. You know, you don't need to have a fancy system to keep track of your time. Now here is a photograph of the dress after the alteration has been done. It is in the back, and I want to point out this area here. This is where the hook that I showed you before has been replaced with a little strap and then a hook, and then it had been covered with the beads to make it disappear. So there's this hook at the top here is meant not only to keep the slide of the zipper from sliding down, but when you are putting a gown on that's tightly fitted, you hook this first before you do the zipper up, because there's an awful lot of tension that is on this particular spot, and if the hook isn't on properly, it doesn't serve a purpose at all other than preventing the slide from coming down. But it needs to be a good strong hook to keep all of that tension from pulling apart. Here is a close-up. You can see that it is just a little bit of a detail that often gets overlooked, but couture is all about fine details. Here is the back of the gown with the bustling when it's finished. So this is the final product of the bustle when it is tied up, and you can see the overall effect of that while it's on the hanger, which doesn't do it justice really. And here is the front. of the dress. When remember I just said that we were going to densify the lace. Now here it is finished and it actually looks complete. It doesn't look as though there's anything missing in that area. It doesn't create a focal point of bareness. And now here you can see the gown while it's on a hanger where the lace has been added in the front. So nowhere near as much as it looked when we first had it pinned in. There's another detail. And again, we stiffened the outside edge of this top corner of the lace to hold it in place, because as gravity would have it, it would go anywhere. This is a picture of the bustle point in the lace, and you can see it's tied and with a clear plastic or polyester loop. And there are the other pickup points. Now there's 5 pickup points altogether in this bustling. There's 1 here, 3 here, and then there's 1 in the underskirt. Another picture of the there. And this is the one that is inside where you can't actually see it, only the bride knows it. And I did explain how that bustle works in the video earlier. Now here is the gown that is on the mannequin, so it gives a very clear picture of how much was added or how little was added to give coverage, and yet it doesn't disturb the overall style, and the plunge is still there. And this is now the back, and you can see that we have 3 buttons above the waistline. So 1 button's worth and about 1 inch of zipper had been removed because we lifted the waist into, or the skirt into the waistline, and so therefore the zipper became longer. We didn't need to remove the entire zipper to achieve that. And on the mannequin, again, you can see the dress as it is on the form. Now here is the day that the bride came back to pick up the dress, and we tried it on to see how it all fit. And you can see now in the back that it lays over her back, it doesn't gape. And in the front we've added some coverage, so it still is the same style but more comfortable to wear, a little bit more coverage. And here again you'll see in the back how it fits, and in the front with it bustled up, and with the hem down, the train down, and another one there. And now this is a picture of the bride on her wedding day. Thanks very much for joining us for this video series. I hope that you've enjoyed it and that it was somewhat informative. Again, we'd love for you to visit our website at ecoleholtcouture.com, and if you're interested in the programs, best way is to send us an email. There is a phone number listed. It's a local number, but I warn you now that answering the phone is not one of my favorite things. So we prefer if you do send us an email. And thanks so much. Again, ecoleholtcouture.com. Bye now.